Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me, Contractor John Comedy, for the first week of 5 minutes of jokes. Now, this week's subject's marriage. And a guy I once knew says, marriage is a great institution. But then again, who wants to live in an institution? When I was about 16 or 17, I says to my father, I says, Dad, he says, what is it, son? I says, what's marriage like? He looked at me and he looked at the ground, he scratched his head and he shook it and he was lost in thought for a minute or two, and he looked at me and he says, John, marriage is like a three-ring circus. I says, oh, can you explain that, Dad? He says, well, it's like this. First comes along is the engagement ring. I says, right, that's no problem. And he says, after a lot of hard work and saving comes the wedding ring. I says, right. He says, not long after that comes the suffering. Now, my grandfather was about and he overheard my dad and I talking. He says, John, do you want my opinion on marriage? I says, of course, Grandad. He says, I think every man should be married at 18 and then again at 80. I says, why is that? He says at 18 he doesn't know what's going to happen to him. At 80 he doesn't care. I remember my wedding day, if it was yesterday. If it was tomorrow I wouldn't go. When B arrived at the church, the doors were open and she looked up the church and she seen the aisle. And then she seen the altar. And then she seen me. And then three words went through her mind as she went through the church. I'll alter him. I'll alter him. Now, we were sitting at breakfast there the other week and she looked up at me over her cornflakes and she says, John, I says, what is it, love? She says, well, you love me when I'm old and ugly. I says, B, you know I do. Now, don't get me wrong. I worship the ground she's going to be buried under. We were talking the other day, and I says to her, B, you know something, love? You should embrace your mistakes. So she got off the chair and came over and gave me a big hug. Now, B comes with me everywhere I go. So she does. Says me having to kiss her goodbye. We were out one night and we're going through the restaurant bar and there's two guys talking and I happened to overhear them. One says to the other, says, Trevor. Says, what is it? Says, you know, my mother-in-law is an angel. The other one says, Billy, you're lucky. Says, mine's still living. I bought my mother-in-law a chair for Christmas, but she just won't plug it in for me. See, that's the difference between in-laws and outlaws. Outlaws is wanted. Well, that's just the end of the first week of my 5-minute comedy. I hope you enjoyed it and you will tune in next week for the next installment. Thank you. Goodbye.